What is up, everybody? This is Lyle with No Hippie Barbecue. Let's make a turkey. Now, if you've seen any of my other turkey videos, you probably know my favorite way to cook a turkey is hot and fast, and I mean above that 400-degree mark, somewhere around 425, 435. And the reason I like this method is when you're cooking a turkey this hot and fast, it really doesn't have time to dry out, so you always end up with a nice moist turkey. Now, in this turkey recipe, we are going to be using a brine, and a brine can be as simple as just salt and water, or salt, water, brown sugar. I mean, it can be that simple. We are going to be adding a few more ingredients, which we're going to get to in a second. We're not going to be using any injection. Sometimes I will actually brine it and inject it, or I won't brine it and inject it. But if I was going to inject it, I would be using Tony Chachere's turkey injection. This stuff is awesome. The turkey that we're going to be cooking is going to be 14 pounds, which is on the high end of where you want to be as far as this high temperature technique goes. They suggest a 14 pound or below turkey. If you have a turkey that's bigger than that, you still can use this method, but rather than cooking around 425-ish, you might want to back it down to 375 to 380. As far as our brine goes, a lot of times what I like to use are just herbs and vegetables that I have that I'm looking to get rid of. So like I said, it does not need to be that, put it this way, don't overthink it. Speaking of overthinking it, let's go ahead and start on this brine. I'm just going to be throwing this brine together, but I will leave the ingredients that I'm using in the description below. So first of all, we're going with our salt, and that's kosher salt. We have some brown sugar, pepper, a couple bay leaves, and I'm using some leftover oregano, sage, and rosemary. I bought an abundance of that a while back. And we just have some tangerines, and I'm just going to kind of squeeze out a little bit of this juice. And just throw the rest of it right on in the water. And if you'd like, you could add garlic to this as well, which I'm not going to use in this particular recipe. We're going to give it a good stir. And now what I'm going to do is I'm going to get this on the stove, and I'm going to let it cook or let it simmer for about 15 minutes just to bring out all that flavor. Let it cool down, and we'll pick it up at that point. Just to recap what we did, I had my brine simmering for about 15 minutes, shut it down, let it cool off, added a little bit of ice to it, and I didn't mention earlier that I'm starting off with about 1.5 gallons of water, and then we're going to add about another ½ gallon once we pour this in. I want this to brine for between 16 to 24 hours, roughly. A little more, a little less is going to be fine. I'll probably have a chance to go the full 24. Let's get this in. And this is easier with 2 people. Make sure we get all these herbs and everything in here. And I'm going to go ahead and add another, or put it this way, I'm going to add enough water to submerge this turkey completely. So once this goes in, it is going to fully cover the turkey. We'll see you in 24 hours. We are back after a 24-hour brine. Had it sitting in my garage with some of this Rocky Mountain snow, keeping it a little cool. Now what we're going to do is we're going to take it out. Dang. A little bit more snow than I thought I had. Anyway, I'm going to take this out and I'm going to drain this liquid off, or this brine off. Then we're going to go ahead and put some regular fresh water in it and let it soak in that fresh water for about 25-30 minutes, and then we'll pour it off and get on with the next step. So I just took this turkey out of that water bath, let some of that salt kind of get pulled out of the turkey after about 20 minutes. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and coat it with a high temperature type of an oil. This can be an avocado oil, it can be a peanut oil like I'm using here. You probably don't want to go with butter because we're going to be cooking at such a high temperature that that butter may start to burn. So I'm just going to go ahead and lightly coat it. And this is so the seasoning that we add is going to stick to it. And I did go ahead and trim some of the, you know, when you brine a turkey, a lot of times that skin will start kind of pulling away from the turkey. I did go ahead and cut some of that skin off, and that's just mainly for appearance purposes, but I did leave just enough skin so when it shrinks up and it's cooking, it doesn't ride up on the turkey as much, hopefully. All right, so the seasoning that I'm going to be using is a seasoning that is called Herb de Provence. I really don't like using any salt-based seasonings on this turkey because it's been in that brine for 24 hours. There's plenty of flavor that's going to be in it. So I go with a more herb kind of a blend on it. It could be Italian seasoning or anything like that. This Herb de Provence is from McCormick's. You can just buy this at your regular grocery store. And we're just going to go ahead and I'm not going to really worry about the bottom on this. This is more a turkey for appearance purposes, like Thanksgiving, things like that. And there's not going to be a lot of flavor that's going to come from this. It's going to be more for appearance. So let's go ahead and sprinkle it down. Now, in some turkey recipes, you will see that sometimes you'll have people rub butter underneath the skin and things like that. We're not going to want to do that at the temperature that we are cooking at, but I'm telling you, the moisture that this turkey is going to have when it's done cooking is going to be well worth it. All right, so there we go. Let's go ahead and spin this around. As far as our cavity, when you're cooking at these temperatures, you're not going to want to use any traditional stuffing or anything like that. What I like to do is use any vegetables or fruit, things like that that I have laying around. So with this, we're just going to go ahead and throw in some oranges or tangerines. I have some apple slices, and some of this flavor is going to kind of come through. It's not going to be a really pronounced taste. And then I have some fresh herbs. This is rosemary, garlic, and oregano. We're going to go ahead and shove this in. And stuff it as good as you can. One thing it's going to do is stretch the cavity out, and the turkey is going to cook a lot more evenly. Also, please make sure that you remove everything from the inside of the turkey. Okay, so that is a wrap right there. What I'm going to do is go ahead and sprinkle the rest of this down where I touched it and rub some of this seasoning off. And we're going to go ahead and get our oven preheated to 425 degrees. Our oven is almost up to temperature. What I'm going to be using to monitor my turkey temperature is I have a temperature thermometer by a company called Inkbird. This will actually sync up to my phone so I can check the temperature on my phone. If you don't have that, just any of these cheap meat thermometers that you buy online would work. I think I got this one on Amazon for like $10. I think this one was on Amazon for about $55. Anyway, one thing that we're going to do after we put this turkey in the oven, after about 45 minutes, we're going to want to check it and make sure it's not beginning to get too dark. If it is, we might want to throw some foil on it. And when we're cooking at these temperatures, sometimes these wing tips will start getting a little bit dark, and these legs, so we probably will end up foiling those after they get to the color that we want. So we are an hour in right now. We're at about 125 degrees. Like I was saying, we're starting to get a little dark right here. What I'm going to do is just cover up this wing, and usually it's just that tip. that starts getting a little dark. So we're going to do that on both sides. And we're just going to come down here and get this as well. And I'm going to check this again in about 30 minutes. And if, you know, this is kind of the color that I'm looking for, but we're going to check it in another 30 minutes. And if it's starting to get too dark, what I'll do is just tint it with some more foil. So here is what our turkey looked like. It took us 2 hours and 23 minutes. I have a probe temperature of 172 in one of these probes and 170 in the other probe. So that's right where we want it. Like I said, we're going a little bit hotter on this, or, you know, higher temperature, because we're cooking it hotter and faster. And you're not going to be, you know, evaporating as much of the moisture during the cook. What I'm going to do now is I'm going to go ahead and let this rest for about 10 minutes. Let some of that liquid reconstitute back into it. Then we'll slice into it, see what's up. So that is it. This is a done deal. Shrubbery aside, this is still an excellent looking turkey. I can't wait to cut into it. As a matter of fact, let's go ahead and get into it now. And I'm going to go ahead and just get into some of this breast right here. I'm not sure. Ooh, this is hot. I'm not sure if the camera's picking up that moisture. But this is some good stuff right here. I'm going to go ahead and cut off a few of these slices and bring the camera back and do a taste test. So this turkey looks so good, even my wife wanted to get in on it. Why don't you go ahead and... That's the breast right there.
Oh, steaming. That's hot. Oh, look at that. That's juicy.
And I'm telling you, you are not missing any salt on the outside of this since it had a chance to sit in that brine. I mean, that flavor is deeply penetrated at this turkey.
I think I need me a sandwich.
I'm telling you.
Oh my gosh. It's really juicy and just like tender. I'm not a giant turkey fan.
This turkey is on point right here.
Yeah, it is.
You know what? Happy Thanksgiving, everybody, depending on when you're watching this. I'd like to thank you guys for stopping by No Hippie Barbecue. I appreciate it.
Ooh.
Comment, subscribe, and I'm out.
Good job, baby. Looks pretty too. God, that rosemary.